Paris, La Seine, a café, and ooh la la, the tender, buttery but feathery perfection with a perfectly satisfying crunch. As you bite into the fluffy half crescent and savor the quintessence of France, you begin to wonder, is the croissant really French? Well, hate to disappoint, but it's not. Hey, my name is Gabi Winkler and this is Eatymology, a channel where we discuss the surprising history of the foods that we eat every day. And today we are going to talk about the national symbol of France, the ultimate Parisian breakfast food, the croissant. Croissants are a type of viennoiserie pastries. Viennoiserie. A type of viennoiserie pastries. Anyways, it refers to the Austrian city of Vienna and it means Vienna-styled baked goods.
Another croissant was invented in Romania?
Tell me.
Okay. It's 1742 and the Turks invade Bucharest, making a surprise attack into the cover at night. But the town bakers...
The ancestor to the modern-day croissant is called the kipfel, and its origin dates back to the 13th century. These crescent-shaped bread rolls were often filled with nuts or other fillings, and they were denser and sweeter than croissants. Legend has it, the kipfel was invented in 1683 after the siege of Vienna by the Ottoman Turks. According to the story, Viennese bakers working throughout the night heard the Turks tunneling beneath the city and sounded an alarm, saving the city from the invaders. In celebration, the bakers created a pastry that would symbolize the crescent moon of the Ottoman flag and would remind people how their city bravely resisted the powerful invading force. But in reality, the kipfel existed long before the Ottoman siege of Vienna. A poem mentions it as one of the Christmas treats that Viennese bakers presented to Duke Leopold in 1227. So how did the kipfel make its way to France? Legend credits the French Queen Marie Antoinette, who really missed the taste of her native Vienna, so she ordered her bakers to make kipfel for her, which eventually evolved into the croissant. Sadly, there is not much evidence that supports this theory. Actually, no references to the croissant appeared in France before the mid-1800s. Historical evidence points to an Austrian entrepreneur, baker, and soldier named August Zang, who opened the first Viennese bakery in Paris in 1838. He started selling Vienna bread, Kaiser rolls, and kifels. His Parisian version, though, was made flakier than the original version, and Parisians began calling them croissants because of their crescent shape. He also introduced new baking methods like the steam oven, which made French bread what it is today. Soon, his Viennese baked goods were all the rage around Paris. While Zang's patisserie didn't last long, since he soon moved back to Vienna to start the prestigious newspaper called the Die Presse, based on a French model, obviously, the French craze for viennoiseries was born. The word croissant began appearing in dictionaries from the mid-19th century in reference to butter and flour-based, crescent-shaped breads. Within a few decades, the new pastry became a staple of French breakfast foods of the bourgeoisie. However, it wasn't until the early 20th century that the butter croissant as we know it today was born. It was only in the first decade of the 20th century that bakers started using pâte feuilletée. They also added yeast to the puff pastry, which changed the texture of the croissant significantly. The modern croissant is airier, puffier, crispier than the one introduced by Zang in the 1830s. In a sense, we can say that the modern croissant au beurre is a real French invention with its flaky, buttery and well-differentiated layers. Of course, the origins of puff pastry itself are disputed too, so I think I leave that story for another episode. By the beginning of the 20th century, the butter croissant made with puff pastry totally replaced its Austrian predecessor. But is it really made with butter? Actually, have you noticed that croissants come in two distinguishable shapes? Which one is the real deal? The curved or the straight one? In the beginning, all croissants were made with butter formed in a crescent shape. Then in the middle of the 19th century, when margarine was invented, which was cheaper than butter, it started replacing butter in croissants. However, the French wanted to know what they were eating, so the bakers decided to make two different versions. Thinking that margarine would make butter obsolete, croissants made with margarine were left in the traditional crescent shape, and croissants made with butter took a straight form. So today the curved croissant, which is often made with margarine or other cheaper fats, is called croissant ordinaire, and the straight, more expensive one, which is made with pure butter, is called croissant au beurre. And as you probably know it, the French like their butter, so they prefer eating straight croissants rather than the crescent-shaped ones, just like me. For a long time, you could only get your croissant from small boulangeries. But everything changed with the invention of the pre-made frozen dough. The first La Croissanterie, a fast food sandwich chain which offered croissant sandwiches, opened in 1977 in France. And from there, croissants took the fast food industry by storm.
Je croyais avoir tout fait, tout vu. J'avais rien vu. De la saucisse dans un croissant de la croissanterie. De la saucisse.
La croissanterie, les croissants qui étonnent le monde entier.
Même ceux qui ont tout vu. Entre nous, c'est nettement meilleur que du crocodile.
In 1981, frozen croissants were introduced to the USA, and Burger King and other fast food chains started selling croissant breakfast sandwiches and savory stuffed croissants as well.
Stuffing out an egg McMuffin, Burger King crust sandwich.
At night, your eyes can play tricks on you. You think you're seeing a delicious croissant sandwich from Burger King, but that's impossible. You imagine that light, flaky croissant filled with a golden egg and melted processed cheese.
The Americanization of the quintessential French pastry had begun.
Burger King's got a delicious new way to say good morning. The croissant-wich. Croissant-wich.
Innovative American bakers morphed the original croissant into almost unrecognizable creations. In 2013, Dominique Ansel created a monster out of croissant dough, formed in a donut shape and deep-fried. In the midst of their hype, you couldn't get your hands on a cronut without waiting in line.
The pastry pilgrimage begins each day before dawn.
I've been sucked into the craze of trying to find out what they really taste like.
There were rumors of cronuts sold on the black market for $40 to $80 a piece. While another bakery came up with the idea of merging pretzels and croissants, creating pretzel croissants. And let's not mention the Kregel or croissant bagel, or Baisang. Bagel croissant?
Is it Boussant or Boussaint, or how do you say it?
Baisant, which is a combination of a bagel and a croissant. And then there's also a croissant, which is pretzel dough mixed in with croissant.
Whichever. I think I prefer my bagel separate from my croissant. Croissant in France is an institution, so much so that many boulangeries are trying to bring back the fait maison croissants into fashion and emphasize the difference between the homemade ones and the factory-produced versions.
J'ai interpellé le Premier ministre français sur la nécessité de créer une appellation tradition pour le croissant artisanal. Le croissant étant l'emblème français de la viennoiserie, si on avait la même chose, ça serait une forme de reconnaissance pour les artisans et une garantie de qualité pour le consommateur.
Vous les faites sur place, les croissants? Oui. C'est forcément fait maison en fait quand il y a écrit artisan boulanger, c'est ça?
Oui, c'est ça.
Ok.
A campaign launched by true food connoisseurs encourages artisan bakeries and other food producers to display the slogan "Ici, c'est humain," or "Here, it's human." Whether it's made by a human or a machine in a factory, there is no doubt that the croissant is among the most celebrated pastries in the world. Its layers of flaky textures, buttery, crunchy dough, and lightness make it one of the most delicious breakfast items. Hope you enjoyed today's episode about the history of croissant. Do you like croissant? Which one do you prefer, the buttery or the less fatty version? How about cronuts? Have you tried them? Let me know in the comments. And thank you for watching. See you next time. Hey guys! Thank you for watching my videos. I wanted to personally thank my first patron Dee for the generous contribution to the channel. Thank you, Dee. I love you. Another thing, you might have noticed that recently I have been a bit more absent from YouTube. It's because now I got a full-time commitment which takes up a lot of my time. So my channel has become sort of like a side gig. But it doesn't mean that Eatymology will disappear, only that new episodes might come out on a less regular basis. Therefore, if you are super eager to see my new videos, I encourage you to click on that bell button so you can get instantly notified if a newer episode is out. Anyways, you know, I'm always grateful for your feedback, your comments, and your shares, and your time that you watch my videos. Thank you very much.